So, welcome to the Candor Paranormal Project podcast show. We're here. You won't believe it. We are here to talk about Lydia's Bridge in Jamestown, North Carolina. Super excited. We have myself and the co-host and the co-host guest, and I am Monique Machado, founder of the Candor Paranormal Project podcast show, and the co-creator as the co-host are paranormal investigator Tiffany Santizo and our fantastic guest, an inspiring of the paranormal world, wonderful person, Tanya Lyman.
Hello.
So, before we get started, guests, this is what we want you to experience. We arrived at Lydia's Bridge in Jamestown, North Carolina. It was an incredible evening. It was turning dusk. It was going into nighttime, which is exactly what we wanted. It was on May 21st, 2024, and it wasn't so hot, right?
I was going to say, it was actually a beautiful night.
It was.
It didn't have too much wind.
It had stars in the sky. I'm like, what's going on? So we get there, and we're expecting the story behind Lydia's Bridge and why it has become such a paramount place as a paranormal portal. So we were incredibly intrigued. Our paranormal investigator, Tiffany, and as the co-host and our guest, they ventured to Lydia's Bridge before I got there some time ago. And they had such an experience that Tiffany said, Monique, wait, we gotta go. And to my surprise, Monique, we gotta go, but we've got to have somebody with us that I just don't want to lose on the experience, because her energy and my energy is how we were able to experience what we experienced.
Right.
And I said, okay. So I am going to guess you know about myself, you know about Tiffany. I'm going to let you experience a little bit of a story from Tanya and how she's intrigued about the paranormal world, and also just a little glimpse of her experiences. So there is some type of energy attraction with this beautiful woman, and she just she's bringing that to the table. We're all three here. We may clip into some of what was recorded when we were there that evening, just to trigger and jar our memory on what we experienced, but we're just gonna have this experience with the three of us. We have not, when we parted was the day that we recorded for Lydia's Bridge, which was on May 21st, 2024. And here we are almost to the date, 2 months later.
Right.
And so it's still fresh in our minds, and we all had this incredible experience. But I'm going to let you take it away for a minute, Tanya. So just kind of walk us in, all of us. We're here listening to you, and just walk us in on, you know, why you even wanted to experience the Lydia's Bridge again. The background information you gave me, you know, I get there and you've got like this, you know, obituary, you know, you've got every, you know, I'm like, whoa, all right, she's doing her homework, you know, and it was very cool. So it allowed for us to feel more of the story of what we were expecting. So take it away.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been a fan of paranormal for a while. Tiffany's been in my life since we were like 13 years old, so that's probably a big part of it, right?
Okay.
But I'm like one of those analytical people. I gotta find the why behind the what. You know what I mean? Like, I totally believe, but I also want to find out why, because I want to know the back of the story. I don't want to know just what's happening now, but I want to know what happened, like why it's happening.
Like
Correct.
the history of it. Right?
Absolutely.
Correct,
So
yeah.
I think that's a huge inspiration in pretty much anything I do.
Yeah.
And I just, when we went there the first time, it was so like mesmerizing, and there were things that we just could not explain.
Yeah, like what was the thing with the train when
It was
went
a
by?
light.
Oh, it was a light.
Yeah, it was a trip because we got there, and I'm not gonna lie, we had gone out.
It was warm.
It was warm.
There were frogs. Tiffany doesn't like animals like that.
There were slimy things jumping at me. We all know how I am.
Yeah.
That was attractive.
She was a little freaked.
But yeah, we went out. We had gone to actually this Edgar Allan Poe reading that night. Oh no! It wasn't the Edgar Allan Poe.
No, it was
a haunted one.
Yeah.
And so we went out there, and she was like, they're telling stories, and they have a cocktail that goes with every one of them. We don't know I'm a lightweight.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
tell
had a
me where
couple
we did
cocktails,
Uh-oh.
and then I had to stop because I can't.
I got lots of cocktails.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm not, you know, when we're sitting there and we're talking, and then they tell a story about Lydia's Bridge, and I'll never forget her looking at me and going, you know,
It's right around the corner.
it's like right around the corner.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, shut up, really? And she's like, you want to go? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm down. So
Yeah.
we actually drove straight over there,
Right.
and
No one was there.
nobody was there.
Nobody was there. And
Just like when we arrived.
right. Well, somebody ended up coming afterwards, and they creeped us out a little bit because
okay.
you know, we were like, oh, and we're like, oh, dang it, it's people.
Like, somebody's talking. Did you hear that? And then they all of a sudden come around the corner of the tunnel, and you're like, oh, okay, well.
Just you.
Whatever.
They left rather quickly though, but
Okay.
it was this light. So the way Lydia's Bridge is there's this pathway that kind of leads up to it, and it's a closed off. It used to be a working bridge, but it's closed off. And they have like railing and stuff underneath, so you can walk underneath, but you can't walk all the way to the road. So we walked under, and we came back out, and above, like where the train tracks are, there was this light, and it almost looks like a flashlight, like type of like shining, right?
Okay.
And so we started looking behind us, and we're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it's probably the reflection of my phone,
Right.
because you know we
I
were.
remember
on the
you
recording,
said
you'll
that.
hear her say, oh, it's my flashlight. And I'm like, oh, and she goes, no, it's not.
And so like I put the phone down, and I'm like, what? Like
Where's
where
this
is that
light?
coming
So
from?
I was literally like, hey, you look over here. Tell me when you see it, and I'm gonna look. And you remember where the bushes were? There's bushes off the
Yes.
distance, and then there's
Yes.
the electrical thing and everything, right?
And there's
Yeah.
that hill.
Well, you mean
hill that goes up.
you mean like the woods
Yeah,
that were like
woods.
over there,
Yeah.
beside the bushes.
Where all the frogs live.
and creepy crawlies, rats, rodents, critters. So I was like, okay, I don't know what that is. So you look and tell me when you see it, and I'm gonna look out there and see if anybody's shining a flashlight or anything like
Sure.
that.
Messing
on the
with
bridge.
us, yeah.
Sure.
And we're like, and I was like, okay, go. She goes, there it is, there it is, there it is. And I'm like, I'm not seeing anything. I don't know what it is. I'm looking all around. I can't see
Right.
anything
Right.
from anywhere. It's just
Right.
woods, right?
Right,
There's-
right,
you
right.
would see a light coming out of there.
Correct.
And they had to be close up.
And this is
for
at
how-
night because you guys said
And
it's
it was
like midnight.
big.
It was like midnight.
It was like
Okay.
midnight. It
Okay.
was huge. It was huge. They had to have been close enough to where it would be a larger light.
And it was moving.
And it was moving.
And it was coming from the top of the bridge, right?
It was,
It
like
was at the top of the
At the
bridge.
top of the
yeah,
bridge,
It
yeah.
wasn't,
And then it went down
it
a
wasn't
little bit,
coming
and then it
from
went up.
anywhere.
a
Oh.
little bit down, a little bit up. But it was weird because, okay, I don't know how to explain it other than the fact that it wasn't reflecting off the bridge. It was
Right.
like a singular light that was hanging out.
Right.
And it was the most bizarre thing because I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna tell you when I see it. You
Yes.
look out there and see if there's anything out there. Sure enough, there it goes, and it's just kind of swaying about.
Wow.
For the life of us, we couldn't, and then it just
Wait,
as
Disappeared.
quickly as it was there, it was gone.
Oh wow,
Right.
wow.
And we were like, that's just the most
And
bizarre
then
thing.
nothing after that.
And then you got a
Right.
phone call the next day and was like, dude. You won't believe
Let me
this
tell
shit.
you something.
You won't believe this.
Okay. And I said, well, that makes sense because my experience in spending time in Greensboro, and then of course the annexation comes between Greensboro and Jamestown, and the main road is High Point Road that leads into Jamestown, North Carolina from Greensboro. Is what actually, no pun intended, bridges everything. So that particular road was always notorious for people saying that this lady in white would hitchhike, but it was always on a rainy night that they would drive through the bridge and this woman would get in the car. And so I knew about the story. What's interesting enough is, as of 2023, they made it an actual paranormal historical plaque site.
Right.
And so it is literally a paranormal touristy
Right.
location.
That's when they built the walkway up to
Yep,
it and built
yep,
the railing in.
Yep, correct.
So they made it safer for people because they were still
Absolutely.
going to come.
Absolutely. So here we go, and I'm walking with my gear, and you guys are walking. We're like, huh. We're like, okay, where are we setting up camp?
Right.
And I start setting up recording devices over here, recording devices over there, and wanted the best to be able to, whatever we could pick up, pick it up. When we got there, remember how it was just like, it was just there, it was there for the taking.
Right.
Like, I mean, nobody was there
Yeah, nobody showed up, nobody came.
the whole time.
There was
Right.
nothing. Yeah, there was nothing that would have messed with like the evidence or anything like that. Where you
Right.
wouldn't hear whispers off in the distance
Right.
or anybody else that was partaking.
So, take me back. When we were getting ready, what did we do first? Did we get ready to walk through that bridge to investigate is it the working bridge? What
Right.
you would call? What was that bridge? The second one, not the one where the cars travel through, but the one that was originally abandoned, right? And it was said that, so this young girl, what's her name, Annie. It was like they were going to a prom, like a formal dance,
Or something
she and her
like that, yeah.
boyfriend, and they were in the vehicle and had a fatal car crash right there at the bridge there. For what we were trying to gather, it happened where the body was thrown into that area of where that tunnel,
Right.
where
Right,
we
where
were
we walked.
Where they
where we were
underpassed.
walking,
Yep.
in underpass. So we're kind of creeped out because, and then what did you do? You had the little laser balls.
So
the
we
little-
had little laser balls.
Yeah.
The disco balls.
Thank you for noticing.
Well, I know.
They were so shiny.
Yeah, we had the little balls that you push, and if they're touched by any kind of energy or anything like that, it'll light up.
Okay.
We had a laser grid, so if something was to walk in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of those where you just turn it and there's lights that shoot off. Remember, it
Yeah,
filled
yeah,
up
yeah.
the entire tunnel.
Yes, yes, yes.
And if something walked in front of it, which it did at some point, I believe all of us saw something that was blocked out.
It was definitely on
Right.
the bottom. It was
Right,
blocked out, and
right.
the grid would not go there.
And the grid would not go
Right.
there. It was really weird, but we
Yeah.
had that shooting off and it shot through the entire tunnel. We had our heat signature cameras.
Yep.
And we had our recording devices, EMF meters and that kind of stuff. So we had a decent amount of stuff with us. It was a tiny little bridge. We didn't think we were gonna need anything too crazy.
Right.
But I'll tell you.
But then wait a
But what
minute.
we
No,
saw-
no, wait, no. When we were in the tunnel, right? And remember, you had the camera and you were standing back,
Right. The heat
and
sensor.
the heat sensor, and it looked like something was low to the ground, but it looked like it
But it
was
was
like
moving.
It was moving, right?
Right.
It was like a mass.
And that's when we did the laser grid, and there was nothing there.
There
with
was
the laser
nothing
grid.
there with the laser
Right,
grid.
Yeah, completely blocked it out, as if something was standing
Or
in front of
laying,
it,
or-
blocking,
yeah.
it actually looked like it was laying.
Right,
it
it
looked
was
like
very
something
low.
was laying on the ground, and it was blocking out that huge patch of the
Right,
green lights
right.
that shot out through this.
Now
this,
look,
this
remember
grid.
when we stood, you and I separately, we stood so Tanya could utilize the camera to see the difference between a real live body
Right.
Yeah.
and how the thermal reading was with
Right.
a real live body. as opposed to us not being where that was, just to make that difference. And you were able to read that. But then when we moved out of the way, it came back again. It was like, it was very
Correct.
temperamental. It was
Right,
like
every
it was,
time we got close to it, right?
It would
Right.
go away.
it would go
It
away.
would never let us
Correct.
next
Near
to
it,
it.
absolutely.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
would go off to the other side, it would go off to the other side, but it would never let us be next to it.
Right. So then we're walking through.
Right.
At that time, you've got your EMF readers,
Mhm.
right?
And I'm to the left, y'all are to the right.
Right. And I'm looking out, and I'm looking out, and I could see like the street, of
Right.
course, where the fatal accident would have happened, because they said the way that it happened, where the body was thrown from the vehicle. Okay, are we getting?
Do you feel
freaked
it?
out? Yeah.
It was weird, right?
Yeah.
Felt like somebody standing behind me, but obviously
No.
there's no way.
There's no, it's just a drapery that's, I don't know, moving.
So, no,
But it's a,
it tripped me out a little bit.
Where's the camera that he threw home? I got you.
yeah, because that's moving.
It
It's
is,
still
yeah.
moving, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's,
Is it the AC?
oh, there's a
And
vent.
there's a
There's a
vent.
vent, okay, wonderful. Okay, so anyway, so anyway,
Welcome to our
so,
world.
so welcome to our world. So we're walking through, and I'm looking, and then it's dusk is turning to night by this
Right,
time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna pause for a minute. I want you to, when you have that recording part, remember, and we were talking about the Emma?
Yeah.
So I wanna get that on there.
The name?
No, yeah, just when we
yeah.
were. So this is that one part when we had already walked through the tunnel, and you're over with the thermal camera.
Yeah, I'm to the left, y'all are to the right.
Right.
And you
And
guys
we're
were like
kinda-
right on each other.
We
and
were
I-
right on, but we were kind of
Yeah,
spaced a
but
little
I
bit.
was way over to the left.
Yes.
Like I was doing my own.
Yes.
Yeah, you and I were having a completely separate conversation.
Absolutely.
Yes, and you had like, I remember these trees,
Right.
this woodsy, these topping trees that were like way up. I kept looking up while you were standing there, and you had your EMF reader.
Mhm.
And
Go crazy.
right,
Right.
okay, so we're gonna hear that part. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Did you hear it? I think it does again, right?
It does that. Bridge does inside feels very.
That's it, I'll play it again.
Okay.
Holy smoke, that thing is going off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the EMF reader. Like, what's that? And we were just asking about his
It's a-
name.
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then, and it was, remember your EMF reader was like, I mean, it was like full lit, like going back and forth.
So in the meantime, when you and I are having this conversation and we're like, whoa, Tanya's having her own experience while looking at
Correct.
Right.
So what was
signature
happening?
camera.
Yeah, when you were looking at the heat signature camera, what was happening at that time?
So I was looking to the left, and there's like this white fence
Mhm.
that separates like the wooded area
Correct.
from
Correct.
the under the bridge, and there is like 3 heat signatures that are just kind of like going crazy, coming closer, going away, coming closer, going away, and I'm not paying attention to anything y'all are doing, because at this point I'm like, okay, what's gonna come out and get me, you know?
Right.
And I'm like, and then I kind of panned over to the front. And that's when like the heat was like crazy coming off the front. And that's when I was looking, and
Yes.
similar to underneath the bridge, like something crawling towards.
Wow. And then I said, wait a minute. And then you were asking for a name. You were asking for a name, and what was it that was? What were we focusing on? Because at one given time,
You want to go back a little bit before that?
when I saw the image of the person hanging from the tree.
That's
Yes.
not too far
And
after
that's when I was looking at the heat signature over there, because you kept feeling that and seeing that.
Whoa.
Mhm.
And remember, we asked something, and I forgot what we asked, but we asked something, and I said, you know what?
It's right coming up.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
It does that. Bridge does inside feels very weird. Yeah. It felt like something was behind us the entire time.
Well, what I'm trying to do is
Trying to catch on to his energy, but it's not connecting. Yeah. All right. Should I go back
You
towards?
can hear the wolf. They were howling.
What is that?
Which was weird. There
I
is.
hate it.
Really? You saw something? Ah.
Something
Okay.
was telling me a hanging. That's weird. And I remember because I'm standing there and I'm seeing like it was to me. I felt like it was a male figure, like
Oh yeah.
a young male figure, but they were
Huge.
Yeah, but they were like a draping of the figure, and they were hanging from one of the taller trees that were like not as close to the street, but it was like coming back a little bit, and then I'm like right here, and then you're right there, and I saw it, and I was like, oh my God, this area right here is more than just
Right.
the girl being
Lydia.
thrown from the
Yeah.
thrown from the vehicle back in what 1924 1926 or something like that. Wasn't that the time?
Yeah, it was.
When
a,
it happened?
I think that was a moment for all
June
of us.
20th or
Yeah.
something. Remember, we
Yeah.
were like, we're here a month
Month
before,
early,
yeah, a
like,
month
to the
early
day.
to the
Yeah.
day. And but this was like old. This was like maybe, I don't know, like in the 1800s. The way that the image that I saw, it wasn't anything like. And they were hanging from the tree, and I was like, oh, so maybe what we heard, because you had your EVP too, didn't you? Did you
Yeah.
not?
My-
Or you
my
were,
phone-
no, you
my-
had your
my
phone, you
EMF.
did your EMF, you had the EMF was going off,
It was going crazy.
but then you had, the phone was recording with that type of, just picking up.
Which is another weird thing because that's at the moment where you can clearly hear howling.
Right, and I don't ever
There was-
remember,
I don't remember any
I thought it was silent that night.
It was.
Aside from the cars going by, I
And
mean,
more than
that's
once,
it.
there is a howl. And
Because you could hear a pin drop when we were out there.
Absolutely.
we would have for sure heard that how loud it is.
Mhm.
That was like right on us.
Right.
And you
Right.
can clearly hear howling of some sort.
Right.
And I think that's at the moment where all of us were like, okay, this is so much more than what we thought it was.
That's exactly probably the point that we.
yeah, we did.
we
We
felt
came
that.
here to see Lydia. We're about to see something a lot more intense.
Yeah, that's what happened.
the energy shifted.
Energy
All of a
shifted.
sudden, it wasn't almost. That feeling when we first got there, we're like it was up for the taking, like you said. All of a sudden, it was like, okay, this is heavy. There's
It
something.
was.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I
Oh,
told you, there was a huge
wait,
bell.
wait.
What?
Then we're standing there, and then you brought it to our attention. You were like, you guys come here, look at this.
Right.
And we walked over to you and looked through the camera, and we were looking at how we were seeing this image that was nearby. It was standing near Tiffany, remember?
Yes.
And then you pulled out your laser grid thing, and you scanned that hole before we entered back into the tunnel. Before you did that, dude, I promise you not. I promise you not. I am not kidding. I saw something look like it had a little blanket or something, and it went across in the tunnel. Remember I told you guys
Yeah,
that?
because right after that, I said that's so weird because earlier I had thought I saw somebody with a hood over their face.
Correct. And I said, well, it
And I
was.
was like, that was
Which
weird.
matches all the like crawling that we saw.
Yes,
There was a lot of
yes,
crawl-
and I was like,
nobody likes a crawler.
no, because and this
It's dirty.
this thing
Wall
was like this thing was like it, it moved across. I said, and it had something a covering over it,
Right.
and it was
was for
small,
sure.
and it was going in the tunnel, and it was going past. And I was like,
Right.
and then when we walked we had to get through the tunnel to get to the other side. Then we
Like
started.
life tells us.
Then we started exploring the tunnel.
Yes.
And we saw the graffiti work
Right.
and the stories that were being told.
Right. We
Then
spent a
it-
lot of time looking at the stories.
Then it started getting really creepy. Remember the one that we were like, oh, look at this, and it had the eyes with the X's for eyes, and then it was one that was like a devil and an angel
Yeah.
image of the
Yeah.
whomever had, that, and then one was saying, mom or
I was
save
gonna
me,
say mama or something
or
like that.
something like that, save me or whatever, or whatever. And we get through there, and we're like, kind of like, okay.
And we thought it was kind of done.
We thought it was kind of done.
We really did.
I think at one point we were like,
We were wrapping it up.
Let's
We're-
get
Yeah,
out of
I
here.
mean,
Let's
yeah,
get
and
stuff.
we talked about how, like, wow, it's crazy how we didn't really get to channel Lydia,
Yeah.
or
Right.
and then we were like, but man, like, there's so much more energy here,
Right.
and
That's when you took off your look. What is that?
You guys-
No,
you
we
guys-
went, so we
you guys
walked to the
both
edge.
took
We
off,
did. We
and
did.
I stayed behind
Sure
because
did.
I'm a straggler in life, right? And I was like, well, we're done. I mean, where are they going? And you guys were looking at something at the
On
edge
the
of
other side.
We're on the other side of the bridge.
I mean, way over
Oh,
there.
way over there where the street was,
Yeah,
where
you
the
guys
cars
were
were
12,
coming.
15 feet away from me, and I'm like, I just, put the EMF reader or
Camera.
in my pocket, and I'm like, okay, we're done, and I had it turned off, and
It was almost dead.
it was almost dead.
The
and
first thing I said when we got there
was
was
that-
like,
that's
oh
right.
damn.
She
I
said she forgot to charge
Yeah,
it.
because it only had like 18%
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
something
it
like
was-
that.
And I was like,
Very,
just get
very
rid
low.
of clips as so
Yeah, and I was like, well, okay, it worked, right? I'm gonna turn it off, and I put it in my pocket, in my front pocket, and we're just sitting there, and then you said, hey, Tanya, bring the heat reader over here, and I was like, oh, okay. I pull it out of my pocket, I turn it on, and there's a hand on the screen. And I'm
And
like,
she didn't say anything for we're still talking,
and I'm-
cutting up and everything.
Because analytical me's going, what did I do? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right,
and I'm
right.
thinking I must have put it in my pocket and I must have had it on. I was like, no, but I turned it off. So in my head, I'm
So
going,
it took,
no, I
you thought
turned
it took a
off
picture of your hand. but
wholeheartedly.
yeah,
You
right.
know what I mean? But then I'm thinking, well, that's not even the hand. Like that's
It's not like a
even-
hand putting it away.
Right, but
yeah.
it was the other hand, so I would have had to hold my hand like this and walk so awkwardly, and I was like, this is. So I was thinking
Processing.
while I was walking
Correct,
towards
correct.
you guys, going, there's a reason for this. Again,
Right,
I totally
right,
believe, but in the same aspect, I want to cover all my bases.
Bases, sure.
And so when I was walking towards, and then I was like, you guys.
We were like, what?
And I'm like, come here. And you're like, no, we're looking at something. I was like, no, come look at this. And you're like, a hand? I was like, it's not mine. And then Monique kept saying, put your hand down there. Let's see. And and she's like, hold it like this. And I'm like, my arm doesn't move like that, Monique. And she's like, that's not your hand. Tiffany, you put your hand there. I was like, she wasn't in my pocket.
Right.
But the way
And then the hand wasn't. The hand,
hand was
it had a huge palm. The palm was
I know,
humongous,
it was
man. It was
huge.
It was a man's
Like,
hand.
and it had to have been far enough down.
Down to take the
The
image.
entire hand.
Yes.
And the thumb was
Like
twice
this.
the size of all of our thumbs.
Correct.
It was
It was
huge.
huge. It was huge. It was huge.
And then when you saw it, the only way that it could be done is something had to have literally come up behind you,
Right.
almost put their hand around you,
Or
and had
right,
their hand right
and
there.
as
Yeah.
I was holding the or putting it down, like
or
when I
putting
was
it down,
coming
putting
down
it
to put it in my
down.
pocket.
Isn't it something?
But I wasn't taking pictures.
No.
I didn't even know the thing took pictures.
Pictures, right.
Because Tiffany handed it to me 5 seconds before
Right.
we got out of the car, and she's like, "Oh, here, it's
Correct,
happened."
right.
And it's fully charged now.
Right.
It was 100%
I remember
charged
that.
when it was going to die.
I remember that.
Like, what does that?
Right.
I've never seen
And-
that.
and
so
so
I've
type
always
of
seen
energy
energy
drink?
drink.
And then and so we went through our whole, analytical fees of it. We're like, oh, this or that. We're like, Still skeptics.
Right.
All three of us. We're like, Not her so much because she's dealing with it. You and I are kind of like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then,
And that's where it got. That's when.
Yeah, and that's
this
where
is
it
when
just
changed.
This is when everything changed.
This is when everything
When we
changed.
thought it was done.
so
I
you're
couldn't help
you're
myself.
standing, Tanya. You're standing like here, and don't forget, you're standing here, and it's kind of like
I did my
the
hands
ground. You did do your
She did, she did.
cutting up. And then,
Because we thought it was done.
I
We
know.
did.
Oh, that's what it was. We were like, oh, we're standing on the edge, and cars are coming through. That Lydia's.
Yeah, I was like, pick up the hitchhiker.
I was like,
You're
because I saw one in a white dress, and I was like, what kind of a white dress? Like the frilly kind, like
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, no.
I was like, Tanya's walking down, and she's kind of like in this not ditch part, but it's grassy area, but it's kind of like she's down a little bit.
Right.
And I'm up here above you. You're there, and you're like, oh, you're just kind of have this camera.
And I was just
you
kinda
hold the
like,
camera, right? And then Tiffany comes over, and we're going, well, what's up at the bridge?
Right, and there was a
That's
figure.
what I was.
We're like, well,
I
what's
have
up
it on the recording.
What's up at the? Isn't this one says? Tiffany goes, I feel like somebody's like looking at me from the bridge.
That's exactly what happened. And then I pulled it up.
You pulled it
'Cause I was
up,
like,
and
no,
we're
I was
going-
like, nobody's up
and
there.
they were
And
go-
I said, see, and I went, oh god.
And they were going. It was a smaller image that was going
It was-
up
it
and
was a
down,
small
up and
image.
down, and it was like it was
Right.
playing,
And it
Right.
was
like hide and go seek.
Yeah,
Remember,
it
it was
was
kind of
like
like
peekaboo.
going down. Peekaboo.
peekaboo.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct,
So
correct.
it was. So I imagine just like looking at the top of a bridge, right? You're standing from way below it.
And yeah,
You're
people
looking
don't
up,
understand that
and
that
you
bridge
just
is like
see-
400 feet.
You can't
up-
see it with
up.
your regular eyes.
Right.
But on our heat signature camera, you see some kind of entity
Right.
that you can't see with your real life eyes
Right.
on this heat signature camera, down low, like almost hiding,
Yeah.
and then
And it
popping
pops
up
back
to
up.
see if it can see us, and then going
And then
back
going
down
back-
really
going
quick.
back
It's
down.
almost like, oh shoot, they're looking at me.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
They see me. Oh
And
no.
right, and
oh,
we
my
and
God,
we
they see
couldn't
me.
we. This is what's weird.
Right. We
couldn't
see
see,
Right.
but,
But
we
we-
could see.
it, but we felt it.
We could feel it
Right.
seeing, right? It's the other energy of our beings that we're not realizing what we're capable of doing.
Right.
So when we sense something, we're wanting to see it with our eyes in that dimension, and that is not the way
Always
we're
the case,
designed.
right.
That's right. It's not. Our eyes are used for certain things, for a certain source of vision and sight.
Right.
But we all three felt it, like
Right.
we
We
were
were being
looking, and that's
watched.
how that entity was looking at, like, how can they see
See,
us? How
exactly.
can they see?
Are
And
they,
they-
am I seeing what I'm seeing? Are they seeing me?
Right.
That I'm seeing them?
correct,
Yeah.
correct. And then that's when you pulled up, and we're like, there's something there, and that's when we saw where it was like, already doing the thing where it's like,
Up, down.
I
up,
wonder
down.
if they can really tell,
But
But
then
then,
then-
it stood. Wait a minute, it stood up.
it stood up tall.
Tall,
I
but
was
it was-
still
it was-
short.
it was still
It still short.
Correct.
Yeah, it was still like my husband's height.
That is
And-
not wrong. You know what? You can't.
Hey, I can't help it. I
You
can't
know-
turn it off. I mean, all the time.
Indeed.
Listen,
Little
facts are facts,
man,
ma'am. Facts are facts.
You know.
He understands.
She just can't help
He can
herself.
too. It's fine.
God. So anyway, it's
Okay, Snorty
Be
McSnortisons.
quiet. Be quiet. Let it roll. God.
Okay.
Let
Okay.
that roll.
Can't help it.
Edit it. Okay.
Wait. So.
So-
Okay, getting back
Okay.
to our
Who
senses
saw?
here.
Okay. Do I have to hit the gong? Do we have to
Do
gong
we
it?
have to gong it? This is get it.
No,
Order
gong
in the
it.
court.
Okay, we're centered again.
Just like that.
Just like
The
that.
sound of the gong.
She gonged us. I don't know if our time's up or if we're continuing. Anyway,
we're
yeah.
good.
So the entity stands up, not super tall. It's a shorter something,
Yes.
Yeah.
and then
Right.
and then out of it's so weird because
No, well, it was standing there for a minute. We were like,
right, and we're
oh,
we're-
dude.
now it's staring at us,
looking
It's looking at us, and it was holding.
and we could
We
feel-
were quiet.
we were quiet.
all just like
We were
we were
quiet.
in
It's-
awe.
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
it was. I don't know.
We
which
didn't
one of
even
us
say-
was like it sees us.
We
It
were
was
like, yeah,
very
but we
quiet,
were
right.
very quiet. I mean, you could hear a pin drop the whole night.
Right.
No cars were coming through, by
Not
the
at
way.
that point. No, not at that point.
So we're like looking, and we're like, okay, and I'm like, no, this is not made up in the camera. This is not made up in the camera.
Right.
I'm trying to rationalize, like, because
Exactly.
we saw it go,
Analytical
we
means-
saw it go up and down, and then we're seeing it like, okay, well, I'm gonna stand here, and then she says,
There
that was a
another
watcher.
one.
It's a watcher.
Yeah.
You said something about it's a watch. That one's a watch. Then here comes
And then
another one.
came out, but it was like,
Big.
but it was
Bigger.
bigger, right?
Bigger. Yeah.
And it just came out of like nothing.
Right.
Like, it's not like it came
Well, it
out
moved
of,
towards the smaller
yes,
one.
it moved right
Like
up next
walking
to the,
up to it.
Yes, exactly. Walked right up to it, but it came out of nothing.
Yes, out of
When
nothing.
I was holding it there, this.
But do you remember, like on the top of that bridge, there were like
Like
trees.
rock-
There were
like
like
rock.
That's
trees.
what I'm
There were
saying.
big trees,
Yes.
right? So it came from that
Right, from that
whatever
area,
that was,
but out
right?
of nothing. It
Out
didn't
of
like
nothing.
come
It
out.
just was like there.
Yeah, it didn't come
just
out of the trees
manifested.
and slowly come out. It came out of nothing.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true. That's
it was
true.
really
That's
weird.
That's true. That was
right.
really, really
and it
weird.
was then it stood right next to the shorter
It,
one.
it did, and
And-
it looked at
and
us,
and stared
and
at
it
us.
stared at us.
And then
And
both
then-
of them were looking at us, and we're both like,
Oh,
and I
Okay.
think this is
And
where we're
I-
like, we should probably wrap this up, and then
and then
No,
a
no,
third
no.
one came
Yeah,
out.
so we should
And the
probably
third
wrap
one
this
came
up.
And then
And
that
they
and
were-
that one was huge.
And that was huge. And then another one. They were like coming in droves. And
well,
we
they
were
started
like,
coming
we're
like
"Oh,
crazy,
this
and
is
we're
it."
like, bye, bye.
nope, this is really
Yeah.
it. This is really it. Stop looking. We need to go.
I mean, they were just like, and it wasn't slow, right? After the first
Right.
one came and he was still,
Right.
the second one came, he
Right.
was still,
Right.
the third one came and he was big, and then they just started.
They started
and
coming
I was like, oh god,
Like
Oh, God.
they were like an army, not an army, but they were
but
like
it
a
seemed
lot,
like it, yes.
a lot, and they were all moving like what's going on?
You know, like those little games you play, and it's like the army keeps building and building and building.
Okay,
like that's
okay.
what it kind of seemed like. It
Yeah,
was just like, blah, blah,
but it's
blah,
like
blah.
they caught on to say there's human life
yeah, what's going
right
on
there,
down there,
and they
and it
they know
didn't-
we're
and
here.
it didn't feel like a nice energy.
It did
It
not.
did not.
It did not.
When-
That's why.
when-
That's what we started running.
When we packed up,
I know that
Time to go. Time to go. Time to go.
and then we didn't want to drive under the bridge.
Well, this one is we're driving underneath the bridge because she's in my car. Your car behind us, right? Because remember you guys yelled at me for not getting gas beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Factual.
And so-
I almost had to push it. The watcher almost got me. I was the sacrificial lamb. Tanya, push.
Keep pushing, Peggy, right? So, you two are ridiculous. So,
Oh, it's us.
as we're driving under, I'm quiet. I'm like, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. But of course, I'm thinking, wouldn't that be so creepy? Then this one, as we're going, she's like, wouldn't it be creepy if it like just dropped into our car right
Yeah,
now? I was
right.
Like, why would you say that out loud?
And you're like, I was thinking it. You said it. You can't manifest things like that. And I was like, but wouldn't it be cool?
No, it would not. Not that energy.
Well, let me
No.
tell you, I never even told you what happened the next night. I never told her. I called her freaking out.
Correct.
Freaking out.
Yeah.
So
This is 12 hours later.
I had a really rough night, by the way.
Oh,
Because remember the bottom of my car, I hit something and then the bottom fell out.
Yes.
So I was driving like 30 miles an hour the entire way
Yes.
home.
Oh.
Yeah, she called me.
She's
She's like, I don't think I'm gonna make it.
Oh no.
I was, like, freaking out.
Oh no.
And so in the next morning, I took it to the place. They fixed it and they popped it all in and everything like that. Everything was fine.
Uh huh.
So my daughter calls me. She wants to go to her boyfriend's. He's a race car driver, and so she was like, "Can I go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll just pick you up later." So I go, and there's zero reception out there, like zero. So I have to text her before I even get there. Hey, I'm gonna be there in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because once I get onto the lot, I just won't be able to contact her.
Okay.
So I get there, and I see her and her boyfriend walking out, and I see her kind of doing a weird like look at me, and she opens the door and she goes pale. She was like looking in the back
This
seat,
is your
and I was like,
oldest?
"This is my oldest." She was like, "Who is in here with you?" She doesn't know anything about what happened the night
wow,
before.
wow.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
Wow.
So I was like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Well, I saw somebody looking at me from the passenger side, and I saw you on the other side, so there was definitely 2 people in the car." Yeah. And she says, when I opened the door, I was expecting to see Jackson. She opened the back door first. She opened the back door because she thought my son was in the front. And she was like, I was like, "What are you doing getting in the back? What am I, a chauffeur?" I'm like making jokes with her. And she looked terrified.
What?
And then she opened the door and she looked in, and she's like, "Wasn't Jackson just in the car with you?" And I was like, "No, maybe he's at home." Freaked out. She was like, "There was somebody in the front seat, Mom. There was somebody sitting with you. Like I saw somebody sitting, somebody smaller, like my son's size, sitting in the front seat,
Shut the
looking
front
at her.
door.
Her boyfriend saw it.
Shut the front
I got
door.
goosies.
Shut the front door.
I got goosies.
She
As
called
soon
front
as
door.
I had
Had reception.
reception, I had my daughter in the car, which I freaked her the hell out because she was like, "What do you mean? You were
Yeah.
doing what last night?"
Yeah. Yeah.
But I called her freaking out. I was like, "You won't believe what just happened." She was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I said, "No,
I
no."
was like, the watcher followed you.
Got in the car.
And every time, 2 or 3 times, I told her that night, 2 or 3 times, I kept looking in the back seat because I felt like something was in the back seat. And I kept looking and looking and telling her, I was like, I'm freaked out, I'm gonna be on the side of the road, and she's cracking jokes about it. She's, oh, the watcher's gonna at you, blah, 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 you're fine.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
And I'm like, oh, thanks, dude. It's midnight, I'm by myself on the side of the road, and I don't know where I'm
Going
at.
20.
Nice.
Going 20 miles an hour, I'm pretty sure anybody can kill me right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I kind of forgot. I got home, obviously, I cleansed myself.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
felt,
I cleansed myself too, by the way. when
yeah,
got
I
home.
felt very, I was like, okay, I'm good. I
Right.
did it before I even walked in the house to my children.
Right.
So,
Right.
when I get in, it's like, you turn off that switch.
Yes,
Right? Because if
yes.
you don't, it's all crazy.
Yes.
So I come in, I turn off the switch, I become a mom again, and I go to bed,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's the next day, and
You weren't even thinking about it.
wasn't even on my mind. My daughter, I'll tell you, she was shocked.
Isn't that something? It was in the car.
It was in the car, and she did it to me.
Oh, it
She
dropped
made it-
down.
You know she made it drop down?
Manifested.
I told
That
her, I
thing
literally said, don't say things like that.
Cascaded
It's
down
gonna
from
manifest it.
well,
She dropped the watcher in my
this
car.
is what's so creepy.
I wish I had a gong.
She
Don't worry, she does.
Monique comes prepared.
She said, wait, I have an idea. Gong.
Yes, Monique.
Only speak when it gongs.
So we have to do if we want to talk, take turns.
no. The thing is, you were the one to say, I feel like something's
Right.
watching me from the freaking
And that's when
bridge."
I moved it
And
up.
that's when you moved the camera
I was
up,
like,
and then the freaking we learned that it was the watcher, and that is the one.
Yeah.
So, I wonder how long it was watching us.
It was waiting for her return because it knew that she said, Monique, guess what? Tanya and I, we got to get back to that spot. Said, okay, I'll
when
be
we
waiting
went,
on her.
No, when we went the first time,
was-
that was not the
I know,
energy.
I'm
That
just
was
kidding. I'm just
not-
kidding. I'm
But,
just
but,
kidding.
but it was so.
I'm just
It was
kidding.
very,
It's so
it was a lot
different.
different.
It was.
Oh, yes, it was
It was
pleasant.
beautiful.
Right.
And I felt like whatever was there was, I don't know if it's just
I don't know if it was
Wait.
but
So we're sitting out there and you're asking, give us a name. So that's when a connection was made then. And it held
Right.
on to it.
maybe.
Yeah.
All I know is I was looking at it thinking, I don't know if what it was saw. I mean, Tanya and I are close. We've been close since
Sure.
our kids were like sisters.
Sure.
And I don't know if it was that, I don't even know, like that, the connection that her and I have
Yeah.
and this passion that we have together.
Yeah.
And it was never malicious. It was never anything. It was genuinely like, we want to help you if we can. Like, let us
Right.
do what we can.
Oh, sure.
And it was the way that we went in there. And I felt like that was the kind of, that's what we got back that night. Was that it was
Right.
very positive, very light. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
very
you mean
like,
the
I
first
want
time
to be
at
your
Lydia's-
friend too.
you
Like,
mean
I
at
can be your
Lydia's-
friend too.
at
Kind of
Lydia's,
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
that's
think the
different.
second
Yeah,
time-
you guys had a Casper.
Yeah, and I think the second time
The
that
first
we
time.
went, we were just so open to anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And not only
Anything.
that, when I'm thinking, it's like when, dude, I'm just saying. I mean, it's all coming back to me.
Right.
Because we're there, and the night was pretty much, it was darker than what it is now, but it was getting there, and it was turning. And Tiffany kept saying, give us a name.
Right.
But where we were, if you can imagine, think about at the top of where those trees were, but if you could imagine going up to the top of where we were and then going forward across the bridge, that's where
Right.
those entities were.
Right.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, how long were they watching us?
Was
Or
it
the
from
one.
moment that we got there?
Right.
And all of a sudden they realized, oh crap, they can see me too.
And
Hold on,
and-
buddies, come look.
And they caught on to the whole hitchhiking thing.
Yes.
So that's, you
Maybe.
know what I mean? They're thinking, like they're thinking they're gonna travel somewhere. You're stuck.
Right.
You're stuck. You're not going. I don't care how much you hop in people's cars.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna happen.
Right. And I was completely oblivious to the whole thing. I mean, there was a couple of things, but remember when we were talking about, one of the things that we noticed when we first got there was that huge power plant.
Correct.
Yes. Oh.
That huge power plant. The amount of energy that
They
was
were
putting
drawing
off.
from.
Mhm.
That's how they're able
And we
to
were
keep their
talking about that
frequency
afterwards
going.
you
too,
even
and
said-
how
That's how
quickly
their
they were
frequency.
coming in.
Yes, exactly.
And you said, I wonder, even before we even started the investigation, her and I are totally zoned in. No, we saw this light and it's going to
Yeah.
be so cool.
Mhm.
Your first thing that came out of your mouth was, I wonder if this is a portal.
Yep.
Before anything.
Yep.
That's what you said.
I could
And I
sense
was
it.
like,
I
oh,
could
that's
sense
crazy.
it.
And then that's when I said, oh, wow, look at all the power lines over there. That is an insane amount of power. And you
And
were
then
like,
the
that
tower,
would make sense.
the power tower,
Power tower.
Right.
is sitting right there.
Huge.
That's how
Feet away.
they're able. Yeah. And that's how. And then remember, I was so intrigued about the bridge. I kept saying, doesn't that look like a black door,
Yes.
like a black fungus, like a
Well, that's
like
when you guys were down there talking about it.
That's
and that's when
exactly
I saw the
right.
hand.
That's
what
exactly
drew me in.
right.
Was like, what is this? Yeah.
That's what I kept seeing.
That's
I
when
said,
I walked down
I
there
said
with
it
you,
looks
she got up
like
behind
they go through that wall, but they leave some type of residual fungus because it was like almost like
And it was
Like
just
the
in one spot. And
yes,
if,
no,
and
I'm
if,
serious.
and if it was some type of rain or like
Right,
mildew or something like
right.
that, it would have been coming from the very top, all
Top,
the way down. and
right. It wasn't. And so that's why I was like, this place is a freaking portal.
Yeah. It was definitely an energy I wasn't expecting.
It's
that
so
night.
to the point that they had to historically declare it.
Right.
It's not just
So that it's not
Lydia
a joke.
or Annie or Anna.
Yeah,
whatever
or
it was.
whatever.
There's so many more levels. It's like an onion there. Or
Correct.
A parfait. It's got
No,
all these
no,
different
that- yeah.
layers, right?
No.
And every time you think you figured out one of the layers, oh wait, here's another one that you
Right.
just didn't see. Oh wait,
Right.
there's something watching you. Here's
Right.
another one. Oh crap,
Right.
I followed you home. Here's another one.
Right.
And it's one thing after another. There's so many different energies. Male, female, huge, small. I mean,
mhm,
there's an
mhm.
insane
Every
amount of energy.
generation,
Every
right?
generation. And it's a feeling that I've done a lot of investigations. A
Yeah.
lot. My whole life.
Right.
This was a new feeling.
I mean, it had us literally running.
We
Yeah.
were.
That
were.
was all of us at the same. Well, I mean, once the like fourth or fifth one came
I
out, we
mean,
were
that
Well, I'm not a runner. I walked briskly, but let's call it like it is. Let's be honest here. Walked very briskly to the car. Right. It was like a mall power walk.
Power, I was gonna say power. You went to the
Yeah,
power, power.
yeah. I'm a grandma in a mall power walking at 6 a.m. to the car.
in your tracksuit.
Yeah, and my tracksuit. That's what I was doing.
Meanwhile,
Meanwhile, y'all are behind me, and I'm like,
the hair behind.
absolutely.
There's a Tiffany cutout on the side of the wall.
Correct. We were going. I never grabbed my equipment so fast in my life.
I'll organize it later.
I think
Everybody grab something. Tanya's already at the car.
exactly.
Where did she go? Yeah.
I threw everything in a bag. It was like I don't even know. I had to get back home and say, okay, how do I organize
Right,
this? Oh
yeah.
my God, it was insane.
It was such a heavy.
But you know what?
Oh.
Afterwards, I could not help. I could not help it. I was like, that was so fun.
It was so fun. And it was enough to when you're like, what are you guys doing tonight? And I said, I think we're going to go get some food. And you're like, yeah, let's do this. Because I think we had to like,
We had to
Process
decompress. And we had
what
to
just
decompress
happened.
it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
we had to do it over waffles.
Waffle House. Over Waffle House.
There's only one way to discuss this.
Yeah.
With a waffle.
No one's gonna judge us in Waffle House.
Not at 2 o'clock in the morning.
They're just drunk at Candor.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
But yeah, to take it in and actually, I think when all of us sat down and all of us were like, whoa.
Right.
Right.
It was just like, what just happened?
Right.
Because it was really
And
like
you know
trying
why?
It was so
And you
raw
know
at
why?
that moment.
You know why? Because the three of us, you can't deny. You can deny one. You can almost deny two, but you can't deny three.
No.
We all saw the same thing at the same time, the same movement, the same energy, the same everything. We're not like tri-Siamese twins
No. And
where
there.
we're looking out of each other's own eyeballs and jazz.
No, and I will say at times, like not this experience, but there's times when Tiffany goes, "Do you see that?" And I'm like, "See what?" And she's like, "It's something up there."
That's what I'm saying.
And you know what I mean? And I'll be like,
Kind of, yeah,
I
no,
don't
no,
know,
right.
but yeah, I could talk.
Correct.
But we all
That's
saw
what was so
I
powerful.
know. It was
Yep,
crazy.
Yep.
We experienced it all at the same exact moment.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't like anything I've ever seen before.
It was uncanny.
It was an amazing experience, though, and
I
I loved.
agree.
I'll be honest. I've always loved when my adrenaline goes up. I've made you do some horrible things with me throughout our lives. Like I've made you go into some pretty dark places.
Yeah.
Very creepy places.
Mothman, yeah.
Yeah, we did have an experience with the Mothman. We'll tell you that a different day, but that was insane.
I'll tell you
Okay,
later.
so what we're gonna do, we are going, listeners, I don't even know what you got out of this. Hopefully.
That I'm not a runner.
She's a brisk walker.
She's a brisk walker.
That's what they got out of
God.
And Monique likes gongs.
And Tiffany takes on spirits. As you can tell.
It's so ridiculous. Anyway, we are closing off for the evening. We so look forward to you participating with your listening ears, and keep in mind on the Candor Paranormal Project podcast show, we have a tailored feature that is called the Spirit Traveling Listening Service. What that entails are episodes where we have actually captured spirits being able to tell their story. We debunk everything, we speculate everything, we investigate everything. We bring you nothing but candor. We bring you nothing but truth. If there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But if there's something there, we want to highlight it, we want you to experience it, and we want you to tap in and let us know if there's a place that needs to be vetted and you want us to participate and you want to be a part of it. You can go onto the website, the Candor Paranormal Project.com, and you'll be able to find us. So we're going to close off for the evening. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you everybody for listening. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Tanya, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Anytime.
Yes.
It was a wonderful experience. I mean, out there with you and here with you.
Awesome,
Absolutely.
awesome. So we are here in our unique studio. We have a designated studio that is featured by an incredible provider, and we'll feature more of that to bring more awareness to the person who's created the studio for us here. But we are here. We're here in Mooresville, North Carolina, and uniquely, oddly enough, there's some mortuary.
I saw that.
Listen,
And a
I
cemetery
am
the next
down
one.
to briskly walk across the street if we can bring the gong.
I'll just be running with it. Monique's got the thing.
Yeah, I'll briskly
The gonger.
walk. I'll lead the way, guys.
I don't know what it's called. Is it a gonger?
But I like it.
Tanya, you got the drum?
So
Briskly walk across the
yeah,
street with rope.
we have a lot of intriguing places that we're going to visit, and we're going to take you guys with us every step of the way. So look forward to returning, and we're closing off for the evening. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
And there's just one last thing before we close off for the evening.